the BOOODANCHORME. Yeah, to his WORDBAPTIZED. And his GRACEANCHORME. Yeah, to the LMMB. Yeah.
Welcome to Baptized&Clueless. I'm your host, you,
And I'm your host, Wes.
a podcast where we unravel the misconceptions that can make your spiritual journey feel overwhelming.
We know that stumbling and falling are a part of the process, and we're here to embrace that vulnerability together.
Let's get the show started. Welcome back and thank you for joining us again, everybody. Today's topic, we'll be tackling things we love and are afraid to let go of. So, when you think about things that we love, what comes to mind to you, Wes?
Yeah, for me, I think of stuff like music, stuff like, certain TV shows, certain movies
I'm gonna say
that
it.
we watch. Yeah.
You're talking about TV shows. I thought Netflix.
It could easily be Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is just replacing the TV, but it's the same programming.
Right.
At the end of the day, these kids these days, Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
But definitely, you mentioned two that are easily like if all TV programs went away, people still be listening to music and people still be eating.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so right with those two. Let's tackle food first, right? Because I mean, when it comes to food, we all know it. Everyone's got their love of junk food or fast food.
Exactly. Yep.
The value meals. People know their favorite value meals, be it Wendy's, McDonald's, no shout outs, by the way. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, they go there with their, there used to be a time you can go there with your $5-6. Why is it cheaper to buy food that's not good for you than food that's good for you?
Mm.
It seems like it's a lower cost, but the truth of the matter is it's a higher cost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So lower cost to your wallet, higher cost to your life expectancy, your health, your
Mm.
overall well-being. I mean, even studies show that people who eat poorly, even their brain functions seem to be affected by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Food addiction is a serious thing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also one of the things that we say on a regular basis. I love this. I don't care what it could be. It could be dessert, it could be main entree. We attach the word love to these things so easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier music. Name some of the top artists that you can think off your top of your head that people are so in love with.
Secular? You mean secular or
Hey,
Christian?
could be any type.
Oh, any type? Okay. Well, I'll just go with secular then.
Mm-hmm.
Drake.
Yeah,
Kendrick Lamar.
the arch enemies.
So you said top of the head, man. You said top of the head.
But yeah, definitely as an example, right? I mean, a whole bunch of ASAPs.
Mm.
Heard it before, right? All the littles. And I mean, we're naming
Mm.
hip hop artists, but that's because right now hip hop has turned into pop. Let's just face it. So its popularity has
Mm.
increased, which
Yeah.
means its listening reach has increased, and the age limit is now gotten so low. It's no longer this is the teenagers thing or people in their young 20s. I mean, the old heads, I get it. They grew up with it initially when it started. So if you're in your 40s and 50s, 60s, I get it. But now we've got kids who are like 5 years old knowing lyrics.
Yep.
And the parents are like,
Yeah.
well, it's what we love. No, it's what you taught the child.
Mm.
Child didn't know nothing about this music. And for the most part, a lot of these parents and adults, they don't know anything about the music. They don't really stop to listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
Right? They're all about the beat.
Mm.
And that beat's like the Pied Piper, man. He's playing away at his flute,
It
and all
is.
the mice are just falling down the street right into the ocean, getting drowned. I know it's pretty
Mm,
graphic, but I'm just saying. At the end of the day, we tie this word love to a lot of things, and when people say love, it's so funny how they fall into it and
mm,
they don't question it all because, well, I love this beat. I mean, people back in the days when clubs were a thing, people screaming, "I love this song," and running out on the dance floor, doing their
mm.
moves of gyration of all types. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, you like the song, but why do we always have to use the term love? Why is it so misused?
Yeah,
Is it because we
yeah.
don't understand what love is?
I think that's it, man. I think that's it.
Ugh, it's sad. But
Like we so like I think as a society, I think we water down
hmm
the word love, you know?
so true, so true.
Yeah.
Speaking of secular, I remember a skit on one of the best secular albums of all time. Yeah, I said best secular. Don't judge me. But it was Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill,
Mm,
and it had a skit, and the child was talking about. They were asked, it's a school classroom scenario, and the child was asked, "What is love?" And he's describing love. He's talking about love of a girl or love of this. And it's like it's just so funny how you know we expose the children to love so early, but we don't really sit them down to explain it because I guess the blind can't lead the blind.
mm. Right. Right.
Our concept of love comes from a very young age and is usually misleading, misinterpreted, misexplained, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, it rolls into so many other things, like other things that, like, what do you like doing in your pastime? Like, you got nothing to do, no
Mm.
judgments on your body. You just want to sit down and just chill. Like, what do you end up chilling out doing?
For me,
Yeah,
I would say I would normally play video games, you know.
yeah,
I would normally watch sports.
yeah. That's
Mm.
so true. I mean, what we only have a few, a few million people,
Yeah.
and we're not talking Super Bowl. We're talking about regular sports. Right now, Caitlin Clark
Yeah.
is killing it in the ratings.
She is. She is.
Women's basketball been around for a long time, but when someone of interest comes along,
Mhm.
people will start watching it. People who don't even
Yeah.
care to watch it start watching it because something is there to catch their attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they start, talking about how they love it. The truth of the matter is, they just really enjoy sports a lot, and as long as it's something good, they'll start watching it. Look at a bunch of people that started watching, like for instance, black people are not watching golf before Tiger.
They weren't.
There was just no interest in it. Like I wasn't gonna watch it. I watched football,
Yeah.
boxing, but once something draws your attention, once something popular comes along with it, we associate
Mhm.
that person, that sport as one, and now all of a sudden we find this love affair with this
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's just
and
crazy.
now you see, and now you see, a lot of these black athletes promoting golf by doing
Yeah.
it on their spare time.
Yeah, it's become the thing. I mean, they say that's where you do a lot of businesses or a lot of business deals, but never been
Yeah.
invited, so I wouldn't know. Right? This
And
podcast came
also,
out of the church group.
say it again.
Said this podcast came out of the church group, not on the green.
So yeah. But yeah, and the thing about sports is that, it's become such a such a thing that we do in our leisure time
Mm-hmm.
that, people, it's like that's the first thing guys like
Gravitate to.
talk about. Yeah,
Yeah.
gravitate to talk about, when they are socializing with each other. I
Mm-hmm.
do it a lot. When I'm
Yeah.
talking, whether I'm talking to my friend or talking to my cousin, whoever it may be. If the conversation gets stale, that's the first thing we gravitate to.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Did you see the Knicks last night?
You're right. Right.
Oh my gosh! Start talking about teams that you're not even associated with by geographics or something like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, it's so
Exactly.
true. So
And
true.
another thing is, you know, we gravitate to sports so much that it like we put our emotion into it, you know?
Whew, don't get me started.
It's like
I was a diehard Raptor fan. Still my team. I like them a lot, but the emotional attachment was ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. And it's something that, I started realizing recently, you know?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like every time, I see that my team loses, it's like it I realize that I get so like sad, and
Yeah.
I would not like that, because it's like, you know how football plays on Sundays. So it's like
Yeah.
after watching a great sermon, and then I'm so happy about the sermon,
Hmm.
that it spoke to me,
Hmm.
and then hearing my team lost, it just brings down the mood.
Forget the podium. I
Yeah.
just lost parlay.
Let's- See, that's another thing. That's another thing. That's how big it's gotten too.
Yeah.
People are literally putting money on it too, on players.
But isn't that the hypocritical thing? The college player couldn't make money before, but the schools were making money in the first place. The whole point is that you get to the top of your pro league, whether it be NFL, NBA, whatever case it be. But
Mhm.
the whole premise of sports when they first got you involved, it was that it was a honorary thing that you didn't do for the love of the money, you did it for the love of sports. But
Right.
people were making money off kids the whole time, from AAA division, AAU, young
Mhm.
division, all in high school, top circuits. They were tracking these kids from the time the kid was like 12,
Yeah. Yeah.
predicting what college they're gonna go to after high school. If they switch high schools, they follow them, and they have this whole thing of star in the making. But I mean, there's so many moving pieces, and there's so many things that people love about this stuff, and it's really just crazy, because the question is like, why are we so afraid to let go of these things that we love? We all understand that they're superficial. We all understand that they really have no meaning. Yet
Mhm.
we can't do it. And I hate to do the comparison to a drug, because neither of us have ever been on drugs.
Nope.
But based on how it's been described, shown in movies, written in magazine and books,
Yeah.
it's something that's so difficult to kick.
Mhm.
And this love affair that people have with, be it video games, guilty, music,
Yeah. Guilty.
guilty, food, guilty, and in my
Guilty.
past, sex, guilty. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like it's like, how are people supposed to kick this? Because
Yeah.
the minute you let go, you feel like a piece of you is gone. I think.
Mm.
Like I didn't
And
know who
and
was.
here and here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You know, when you're involving yourself in these things, it's like you don't think about that. You don't think
No.
about how you're just, so consumed in it,
Mhm.
that,
True.
and so emotionally attached to it, that, it literally drains you of something, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
that's something that you have to sit back and reflect on. You can't just it's not something that you'll just see right away. It's something that, you have to reflect on yourself to actually see that, okay, I think I'm putting too much energy into this.
Yeah. It's very much. Yeah, because your soul tied to it, right? And that's
Mm.
why we're so emotionally deprived of any joy for something so far
Yeah.
removed from us, right?
Mhm.
You said it.
Mhm.
You mentioned this a while ago how it's draining, and as soon as you said that, I just think about it spiritually.
Yeah.
When you're spiritually
Yeah.
drained off something that has nothing to do with you in that sense, it's a sense of falsehood, because we put this
Mhm.
importance on it.
Mhm.
But I mean,
Mm.
now that I think about the question of why are we so afraid, or why is it so hard to let go of it? Like, it's filling a void.
It is. It is.
It is the artificial dopamine. It's the artificial friend. It's the artificial lifestyle. I mean, people are buying jerseys to be a part of something,
Yeah.
which is just, I want to say it's nuts, because all of a sudden there's no price limit,
Mm.
but they have a hard time to have a heart to drop a $5 bill in someone's cup who's on the street begging, who's clearly not clean, who's clearly looking like they've had a really rough time, and
Mhm.
they see them, they're like, I'll pass, and go straight to,
Well,
you know, the NBA store and order a $200 jersey, no
yeah.
problem.
Right. Right.
That's
Mhm.
just nuts. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely nuts. But it's become the norm. So
It is.
let
It
me
has
ask you
become the
this:
norm.
what are your top three loves that you'd say? It could be past, it could be present. It doesn't have to be either or.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I would say sports,
Hmm.
video games,
Hmm.
and music.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. That's a top three. So for me, I think it would be okay, ain't gonna lie. It was really it was really sex. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
and the thing is, but I know what it is now. It took a long time to see what this was, right? When you don't listen to the
Mhm.
Holy Spirit. But sex was replacing the love. As cliche and as corny as that sounds, it's facts,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You get into relationships so you have someone to have that bond with.
Mhm.
Great idea, but the process itself it was completely off. You end up in 5 relationships later. It's like, oh, some people are in 3 relationships, some people are in two, some people are in 10. Some people call a weekend fling a relationship.
Mm.
Before you know it,
Mm.
their body count is high, and they have
Yeah.
all these soul ties that have nothing. They don't know what to do with anymore.
Mhm.
So sex was definitely one of them. By the way, that body count thing, that's not those are not my numbers. So don't don't
Yeah.
pass any judgment. I'm just saying, you don't know my
Thank you for
business,
clarifying that.
right? You don't know my business. Tell my business, people. Uh, and I think for these things too, I've gone through seasons. So there was a season for music, which, by the way, if you notice, has been an issue for teenagers for a very long time because that's who the market was
Yeah.
pointed at, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, think of the rock and roll era. You
Mm.
can look at it either way. Like once, I'll say it because rock and roll's been around for a long time, and when rock and roll was being played by a particular culture, it was popular. But when it got packaged, and now you got the Beatles and Elvis,
Oh man.
and they could sell that package. Do you notice when you look at some old videos, where did this whole screaming thing come from for someone playing music?
Right.
Talk about possessed. Yeah, I said it. Talk about possessed. Why are we screaming at something that we enjoy?
Mhm.
Why are we losing our mind over it? Why are we emotionally distraught? Now, mind you, I don't think anyone in this on this podcast has ever screamed at anyone. I've gone to see Sade and I like her a lot. I am not screaming. There's just no need for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And but here's the thing. When you were just talking about that, like we tend to like do that for these things, but when it comes to God,
You
like
know where this is going,
we give that golf clap.
right? You're so right. You're
Yeah.
so right. Like we're
Mm.
asking for Grey Poupon and ready to go see the Queen. What is up with that soft hand clap and
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And and we wait until the pastor tells us to lift our hands, and then that's when we lift our hands. But when it's for
yeah.
like if I could go back to the sports, if it's for
Hmm.
like a team, nobody's telling us to lift our hands. We just lift our hands
Lift
just to
their
lift our
hands.
hands.
We've been trained so well, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
yell when they miss. They yell when they score. They yell when they think it's a wrong call. They yell when the game's about to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
People scream at like you going back to the screaming. People scream at the top of their lungs
Yeah.
for these players that
Yeah.
don't even know who they are.
Don't know them one bit. And even if they did, do you think they'd want you screaming around them? Do you think
Yeah.
that's what they'd be asking for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, to me, a lot of these things are spellbound as far as I'm concerned. We
Mhm.
act like we're a mesmerized society on things that don't matter. All these things are entertainment.
It
And
is.
only as of recent, people are starting to realize that um, these organizations, these professional leagues like NFL and now NBA, they've come out to let you know this is sports entertainment. They
Mhm.
sell you legitimacy, but it's a falsehood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's tie this back into the Lord because, you know, the Lord's not selling you nothing. The Lord
Yeah.
has receipts to show you all the good He's done, and none of it's falsehood. And we have a hard time swallowing what the truth is. We have a hard time jumping on board.
Mhm.
And this is not Bible thumping talk. Let's be real, right? For instance, it's easy to sit down and watch Netflix than it is to turn my attention to the Bible and read 2 chapters.
Yeah. Not even two, one.
Man, I'm saying 2 chapters to let you know just how bad it is. Because guess what? It's the same amount of time you sat there to watch a series.
Yeah.
To watch an
Yeah. And
episode,
people would
an hour.
binge.
Oh
People,
yeah,
yeah, people would binge watch for an hour. Yeah.
easily, easily. Now, mind you, the Book of Genesis is long. Every time I try to start from there, now I realize I will not start from Genesis. I have a pretty good idea with that story as I've heard that one many
Yeah.
times. I'm good. But it's this thing how our flesh rails against it so easily. Where all of a sudden I'm tired,
Yeah.
sleepy, low energy. My eyes are getting crossed. But I can watch a boring Netflix program and my eyes won't cross. And instead of me being like, oh, this is boring, I'm gonna switch to something else. Let me go read my book. Now I'm gonna find another Netflix program to fill that void.
Yeah. Yeah. And like if I would like when you said that,
Hmm.
I was just thinking of like, because this has happened to me multiple times before in my life, where it's like if I'm watching a TV show, or like you said, if I'm watching something on Netflix, like I could, and it's if it's an hour, I could watch that thing a whole hour without yawning.
Yeah,
But if I open my Bible, the first 5 minutes I already yawned like 3 times.
bro, what is that all about?
Yeah, it's our flesh, man.
It's our flesh. But I've also had the same issue with singing in church.
Mm.
All of a sudden, I'm like breaking yawns. But I realize that's because of my breathing. Since I'm not a professional
Mm.
singer, I don't exactly sing the way I should. And I get winded. But how
Yeah.
come I don't get winded at an R&B song that I used to sing? I don't sing anymore. But I'm just thinking about back in the days I used to
Yeah,
sing. It's
yeah,
like I had no problem. I had no problem singing the songs. Never got
yeah.
tired. Never got. I've had sore throats trying to sing in church. And honestly, in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna stop because I know what you're doing. I said, there's no way the enemy's doing that. I said, there's got to be some of my practical things as well. I'm not saying the enemy can't interfere, but not like no.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, I'm not singing the same way I do for an R&B song, which now begs to differ. Like, what is it? What's the
Mhm.
difference? What's the difference with my reading?
Mhm.
What's the difference with my singing? What's the difference with how I steward my time, right? And stewardship is something that we spoke about
Mhm.
because stewarding over our time and what we do with the time God has given us. I mean, if billable hours was a thing for video games, music, and food indulgence, I'd have a high bill because it's ridiculous the amount
Yeah.
of time we spent on those things.
Yeah.
We don't even eat
Yeah.
when we're hungry anymore. We eat out of taste buds. Our taste buds are the worst,
Worse.
right? We listen to music to get emotionally charged or to get filled. Like, let's face it, I'm calling her out, man, and not because she's a bad person, but because she's one of those popular people like Mary J. Blige. I
Mm.
can't tell you the amount of female friends I've had in the past who are like, Mary J's their girl because when she's going through hard times, she brings them through. I'm like, what are you talking about? This girl's literally talking about how sad everything is, and you're on board with that? Don't you want to be the opposite feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
It makes no
Mhm.
sense. Our logic is just so backwards when it comes to these things. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I think as a society, I mean, we understand that there are falsehood in these loves that we have, be it food, sex, video games, music.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it always boils back down to our flesh.
It does. Yep.
Flesh is so weak. Flesh
Yeah.
is a boxer. We have like a record of like 0-21. Like, like no
Oh
wins.
yeah, yeah.
That's no wins at all.
But
Flesh is so weak.
like it like like it says, like scripture says,
Hmm.
the flesh and the spirit are always fighting against each other,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. And I mean, scripture also says that God's strength is in our weakness.
Yeah.
And for
Mhm.
those who don't understand, I mean, basically that's your time to turn to Him. Like when you're at your weakest moments, you don't continue. You don't
Yeah.
continue watching what's on your laptop or what's on TV or
Yeah.
listen what you listen
Yeah.
to. It's time to turn to Him. Like that's the reason why you're at this weak moment. Like why are you indulging in all these things? And again, I'm not telling you that all music and all movies and all everything is bad. It's just what's your balance?
Mhm. Mhm.
What's your balance? Because too much of anything isn't good. And I mean, even God made sure He stayed that you know, Adam was cool, but he's like, Adam, you need a companion. Too much,
Yeah.
too much alone time is not good, bro. Let's get real. And the rest we know is history. But
Yeah, yeah. But like like what I think about also is what you said before about how it's just our coping mechanisms,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
This
It
is
is.
we're trying to fill a void, like we're trying to fill that void that only God can fill.
Yeah.
But because we don't know that,
Mhm.
or because we do know that, but we just don't know how to allow God to fill that, you know, we end up filling it with all these worldly things.
Yeah, yeah. And saying no seems to be one of the most painful things to say to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
which is so crazy. Like, are we all children?
Mhm.
Like, look at what you
Mhm.
act. It's like when a kid, you tell a kid no, and a kid throws a temper tantrum. When you're an adult, you do it in a different way. You
Yeah.
start, you start telling yourself, I don't have to start doing this. I'm an adult. I can do what I want to do. You start pep talking
Yeah.
yourself into doing something wrong. Like, really? That is your 10th slice of pizza, and you already had dinner. I'm gonna,
Oh
I'm gonna,
man.
I'm gonna stop this. And all of a sudden, you go get your checkup. Your cholesterol is high. You're like, I don't understand this, doc. Supone que have
and
mucha.
and the thing is, these things, like we try to fill that void in our heart with these things, but
Mm-hmm.
in reality, these things cannot fill it up. And
No.
that's why our flesh is never satisfied, and it always
Yeah.
wants us to go back, go back, go back to these things.
I agree with you that 100%, but I also recognize this about the flesh that even though the flesh always seems as though it's not satisfied,
Mhm.
the gluttony that it has is just so ridiculous because you'll be doing things that you
Mm.
don't even want to do. You start doing things
Yeah.
out of routine now. What you
Yeah.
close your eyes to and your ears to, just out of routine. The buffet
Mhm.
that's at your table, you're full, and you're like, well, it's still here, so I might as well. And you continue eating.
Mm. Man. And that could go back to the sex part,
I was just
you
thinking
know.
the same thing. I was just like, for the amount of times that people have had, you hear those stories because I've never lived it, but you hear those stories of people having sex 3, 4 times in the hour. I'm like, what are you, a riot?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't,
Yeah.
but that just proves that it was never satisfying in the first place.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why
Mhm.
repeating it? Now, for those who may listen to like they just never did it right. That's not the point. The point is, like a meal, you're supposed to eat it. It's supposed to quench that hunger. Drink something supposed to quench that thirst. If you're having marital sex, because that's all we should be talking about,
Mhm.
we should be saying that once the act is done, it's supposed to fulfill something because God ordained it to fulfill something under the covenant of a marriage.
Mhm.
But whether you're married or not, and you still feel the sensation of 3, 4 times, something else is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about the bond anymore. It's about fulfilling a need that's probably part mentally and part spiritually. Because
Fulfilling a need. Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
now I don't think physically. I mean, men going 4 times a row. If you're not on something, buddy, not performing the same way. There's no way, especially
Mm-hmm.
with power.
And when you say that a lot of us may be just doing it out of routine,
Hmm.
that also could be us just being numb, you know,
It is, yeah. You
and
said
going
it
back
so right.
to like we're feeling numb and we just want to go back to the thing that we know that used to make us feel good, you know.
And then there's a drug comparison right there. Because they
Mm,
say when you take medication, for instance, for that headache, after a while, the body becomes numb to that feeling
mm,
of satisfaction.
mm,
The headache is
mm,
still there, and you gotta up it.
yeah, yeah,
Oh man,
mm,
I sigh because it's just these are things that as a society we never look at. We just accept it.
yeah, yeah. And as we speak about this, you know,
Right? Hmm.
it's something that we still um go through in our
Oh
lives,
yeah.
but because we recognize it,
Hmm.
it's something that we're continuing to allow God to
Work on.
you know do in our lives, to
Hmm.
remove out of our lives.
Yeah.
And so another question that I had
Hmm.
was, like, which is the hardest, out of all these loves that we've just talked about?
You know, I think that's definitely an individual thing, and that's not a cop out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because there's two questions come to mind: which is the hardest for the individual, and which one is the most, let's just say, addictive of the things that we claim we love, right?
Mhm.
For the things that
Mhm.
are more addictive, you can tell by stats. So for sports, you can tell by how many people watch these particular games. You can see how much
Yeah.
people bet against these games. So gambling's another thing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
when it comes to the individual, it really depends on who the individual is. Because I mean, I've never had an issue with gambling.
Yeah, yeah. And
Had issues with
there's a good
sex
amount of
addiction.
people that have that.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially
Mhm.
now, and nothing worse than when they legalize something. I didn't realize there's so
Mhm.
many people that love to smoke weed in Canada until it got legalized.
Mm.
Because before then, everyone had an opinion. Oh, these guys selling these drugs. Yeah, they're selling weed. Oh, these guys. Not realizing
Mhm.
that the same person saying these guys is buying it from his local dealer on the weekend in his house hiding. Now we have an abundant amount of stores that selling
Mm.
government grade marijuana, and people are running in and out of those stores not like crackheads, but like it's a fast food joint.
Wow.
It's pretty common up here now. And where I live up here and outside of Toronto, it's like for every like third store, fourth store, there's one there. For every little mini plaza, which is a group of stores obviously connected, there's a cannabis store there easily.
Mhm.
And funny
Mhm.
enough, all the customers going in and out are not the stereotypical people that you saw getting arrested 2, 3, 4 years ago. But anyways, I digress. That's a whole nother topic. But yes, for me personally, the hardest would be I'd have to look back in my past. It would have to be sex because it's not just the act of
Right.
sex; it's all the other things associated with it. People just think sex is just like even the chasing of women,
Mhm.
even the whole all the serial dating,
Mhm.
all the times where you find your worth in who you could get, who you could pull, how many numbers you can grab, the attention that you can get from it.
Mhm.
That's all sexual,
Yeah.
right? And that
Mhm.
has to be the biggest pull because it has too many sub levels. Like even a person who's a virgin, if they know they're good looking and they can get the attention and they're using sexuality for it,
Mhm.
they're part of that issue too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's my opinion at least.
Yeah. And when you mentioned about like there's other aspects
Hmm.
to the sex,
Hmm.
like another thing that comes to mind is you know a lot of us that may not be involved in the you know actual physical sex,
Hmm.
but maybe involved in
Yeah.
pornography.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That we all know that's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our society likes to put it solely on. Don't want to spin into another topic, but society likes to put the porn issue and the sex addiction on men.
Yeah. Yeah.
The porn industry obviously has a bad rap because it is a bad situation.
Really bad.
I don't know the number of people who volunteered to be in porn, but I know there's a good number of people who did not volunteer to be in porn or
Mm.
got into porn out of circumstance, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But can we say
Hmm.
the same thing for porn and OnlyFans?
We could. We could.
I don't know. OnlyFans seems very voluntary for the people that say they have the camcorder set up in their house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some aspects of it that are like porn for sure, as far as the industry itself. But I mean, can you pimp yourself?
Mm.
Metaphorically, sure, but like you're raking in money,
Mm.
and you're making money knowing that you're selling whatever it could be. Could be nudes, could be sexy dressing. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Porn has all
Mm.
kinds of levels, in my opinion, as well. It's not just the hardcore stuff.
Mm.
I don't know if you know of them. There used to be a bunch of books called Harlequin books for women, romantic novels. That's literary porn.
Mm.
It's not writing
Mm.
like Playboy or Hustler or any of those other guys, but it's transporting this reader into another realm, fantasizing about what's happening to the characters that are fictional, and they're visualizing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
porn is porn in any format it wants to come in, right? But the only fans thing in porn and the porn industry, yeah, they're related, but one seems very much voluntary, especially since we got into the pandemic. That's when OnlyFans blew up.
Hmm.
And my argument is if OnlyFans can blow up during the pandemic where people felt like, oh, I need to earn money and I'll do it any way I can, it's obviously desperation. And obviously there's customers out there, right? There's always customers out there for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that we have a way of just blaming the customers for everything all the time. Because the customers are usually a specific gender and the product is usually a specific gender. So it's so easy to put that narrative.
Mm.
But I mean, if you if you don't I was gonna say, if you don't drop your pants, no one's gonna look. You're on the street every day. You're walking past people with porn addiction, people with sex addiction, people with fetishes, but you won't know. All of a
You won't
sudden,
know.
you you decide to drop your pants for no reason in a public area, and people look. That's what they'll do. If we present
Mm.
it, they will look. If I decide to go do it, I won't make any money, but I'm sure someone will take a look, regardless. So I don't know. It's funny we touch on this topic because just saw a recent podcast with a particular OnlyFans personality, and I won't get into details of it, but I'm glad she found Christ. I really am glad she found Christ. But I found there was a lot of onus was put on the customers instead, and it's like at the end of the day, for lack of a better analogy, piranhas exist in the water. If we don't put the meat in there, they will not eat it.
Mm.
Unfortunately, some of these people with the addictions are like piranhas. They're just feasting at anything that comes their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that you're out of it, you can't look at them like those piranhas are pariahs. They sound the same, but one you accept as a nature, and the other one you look at as disgust, and that right there is not cool. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a whole nother spin. But
It is. It is.
at the end of the day, though, we have a lot of things that we love and a lot of things that we're afraid to let go of. And as we're pointing out, a lot of it's because it's flesh based.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
difficult to let go of because of who we are and how sinful we are.
Yeah.
Um,
Sinful nature.
Sinful nature is unfortunately natural. Um, Living it though doesn't have to be.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
And these are things that put at the feet of God. Let Him deal with it. It's only so much you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
But there's things that we have to do on our parts as well, right? So We know a brother in one of our groups, and he had the inkling. Holy Spirit told him to chill out from football,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And it sounds so simple as just football, but not when you tie yourself to it so hard.
Right.
Not when it's a part of your college life, it's part of your high school life, it runs in your family perhaps, and you've been watching it, for lack of a better term, religiously every Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not easy. But he heard
It's
it and
not.
he's putting the work. Like he's obeyed it, he's put it to the Lord, like, okay, fine. And was it a couple weekends ago, he was like, whew. Someone asked him what you watching to check in on him,
Yeah.
and he was outside going for a walk.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
God provided a way out by one of his friends calling him and say, hey, I have a Bible study. You want in? And he jumped on that Bible study ASAP.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's good to see that, you know, the Lord speaks to all of us, and you really just have to try and listen to it because he's directing you for a reason.
Mhm. Mhm.
Dropping these things is not easy, but it's not impossible.
Right. Right.
But I think we're gonna wrap this up because honestly, I see me
We
spinning on a
said,
lot of other topics that I'm like, ooh,
yeah, we've said all that needed to be said.
pretty much. And I mean, if anyone else has any other things that convict them as far as what they know they're tied to, uh, you can always hit us up at info@baptized&Clueless.com. We'll check it out. It may get repeated on the air. We'll check and see.
Baptized. Gracecho.
Thank you for tuning into Baptized and Clueless. We hope today's conversation has brought you encouragement on your spiritual journey.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review.
Join us next time. Until then, keep seeking, keep questioning, and know you're not alone. Thanks again.